It is Tuesday. RawMikeRichards.com. Broadcasting live from the spectacular DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East, out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Really interesting show today. And Conor McGregor just made it, like, way more interesting. And maybe not the greatest of lights, but Carolyn Pierce. Interesting background. She was, like, representing Great Britain as a heptathlete. Moved to Los Angeles, where she works. Not exclusively with UFC, but it's a big part of it. And also with Fox Sports. She's had some up-close and personal interviews, like at least 2 or 3 that I can think of, with Conor McGregor, including the one really interesting moment when he loses to Nate Diaz. I don't know if you saw that interview, but if you had the pay-per-view, she was the beautiful blonde girl that's English accent, talking to Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor talking about why he lost, the mistakes he made, and of course he corrected them, ends up going on and beating up Nate Diaz, not unlike the official last night in Dublin, Ireland, where it wasn't even his fight. He is now fighting in the octagon when it's not his fight. Also for Ireland, it's a big day. Denmark, David. And
2:45.
2:45. Is it on television? Can you get it on the telly?
I'm sure you can somewhere.
Don't be teasing me, David.
I don't know where.
I won't tease the Italians too much. But, look, was this a team that was on the borderline or in the fringe to begin with? Yes, it was. So it's not like it is this massive shock, by the way. Oh, my God, this thing. Sorry today. It's just, the show's not over yet.
No, not yet.
No comments, Jordan. Okay, so this was a team that is representative in it's too bad we didn't have James Sharman on to talk about it a little more. But in Serie A, where, you start looking at why certain national programs are successful, and I always look at it this way, and this is just my opinion, that I think within your own professional league in your country, it is a huge indicator on the new blood that possibly can seep into your national program. So when I take a look at England, where are the English players? Where are the British players in the Prem? Well, they're in the lower divisions, to be honest. Look at the makeup of those squads in the Premiership. For the most part, they're international. And you can make that same argument of what's happened in Italy. There were a lot of older players on that team yesterday. And no, Giovinco wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't know about that.
I get, Dave, that it's TFC and he's got certain set pieces.
Need scoring, and they didn't have it.
Well, but he even when he was playing in Serie A, he came off the bench. Like, he was not a starter.
No, but that's all they needed. You put them in the second half of a game that you're scoreless in, and give them 30 minutes of running around that opposition's goal, and maybe something goes in.
I just think that overall, okay, so they end up in the playoff because of that.
Yeah.
And overall, I know what you're saying. So if at some point you're throwing a Hail Mary, maybe put him in the last 30 minutes and you get a set piece or something like that. But the problem with the program is one player wouldn't make a difference. And it's not going to be Giovinco. It probably wouldn't be anybody. It's not a knock against Giovinco. He's the best player MLS has ever had. And we've never seen anything like this. But now you're talking about world powers and, the atomic ant, whatever you want to call them. Once you start getting into those
terrible nickname,
you don't want.
I don't want to be called that ever.
You're the amazing midget. What?
Seriously, that's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I did say amazing, but you called me an ant. You called me a midget.
Yeah, I don't know what either of those words are in Italian, but I assume they both would be relatively insulting. But I feel bad because, Dave, you're telling me it's not more fun when Italy is in any international soccer/football event? You go down to College Street, going to Little Italy, whether your buddy's up in Woodbridge. It's just better when Italy is in it. And since, what are they saying, 1958? 1958.
Yes. Yeah.
No Missouri? That sucks. For me, it sucks. Because I just like to, it's just better when they're in it. It's more festive. Are you happy that is Honduras in? I don't know. Like, now you got to show me a country to fill that void, and I'll tell you what, no U.S.
No U.S.
No England.
No Netherlands.
No Netherlands.
No Italy. No Greece, I don't think, right?
Greece
never
out.
qualified.
Greece out.
That's a lot of That's a lot of the multiculturalism of different parts of Canada, different parts of the United States, and obviously in that side of the world, it's Russia, click.
Yeah, they're not very good anyways.
I certainly
in the Confederation Cup, their own pre-Olympic tournament with a lot of those teams there.
Yep.
Got knocked out in the first round. Knocked out in the first round. And you know what that is for television ratings. We've seen, I mean, again, granted, hockey different in this country.
I hate to have those rights.
Sorry, TSN. Mistake number 2.
That's it?
Yeah.
Only
watching,
2?
Watching, yeah. Yeah, there might be a couple in there. Thus the 0 ratings. Now, I'm not talking about television, and I am looking forward to see CFL playoffs. I texted you on the weekend.
Yes.
After all these years, and again, it's Saskatchewan, playing Ottawa, and I'm still getting all revved up. What the hell's that all about? It's just because it's been in my blood. Tell me the Argos are going to win this weekend. I know Saskatchewan, what are you thinking? An amazing goal. Everyone's mad at me, all the Flatlanders. But I don't want it. I need to see an East in there. But in all fairness, people are saying, well, Toronto doesn't deserve it. The players still go out there, Dave. The players still go out. The coach still coach. Ricky Ray's still Ricky Ray. For their sake, I'd love to see it. And if you're in Toronto, buy a ticket, go to the game. We've been getting decent weather in November. Are you kidding me? Look at it outside.
1.5-point favorites are the Argos in this game.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow. Well, it is going to be tight.
Well, they finished 9-9 on the year. And that's good enough to clinch the East, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Saskatchewan was 10-8. So the Argos are at home. So they'll get at least 12,000 screaming fans.
I pray that, come on, go to the game. Go see some football.
Should.
But this is not the area for that, Dave. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not.
By the way, Sportsnet has the Ireland-Denmark game. Sportsnet regular station.
Oh, because I went out and got that Chromecast just to make sure that I was going to see that game. And that's going to be a big one, too. So Ireland. So it was a 0-0 draw in the first one. Ireland has to win. If they cough up a goal, that counts as 2, an away goal. Now they're going to be in big trouble. So they're going to have to score a lot. So ultimately, people don't want to hear this, they need to win 1-0. And guess what? Ireland's really good at that kind of score. If I'm looking at Ireland, if they go, they got to win 4-1, we're in trouble. I couldn't understand, big fucking trouble. So I'll be watching that today. I'll be obsessed by that.
Sportsnet 1, by the way.
Sportsnet 1.
Yeah.
Our friends at Sportsnet. They're our friends. Don't steal that song. Okay?
That's actually a pretty good song.
Dave, the talent seeps out. Thanks to Dougie Gilmore yesterday, by the way. That was a lot of fun. I talked to him
good
this
response.
morning.
Good
it
response.
was a very good response. And then, of course, the crazy response to both Mike Babcock and Peyton Manning from yesterday.
Okay. That's fair.
Should we just do a show where Dave talks to nothing but impressions? Impressions and my cancer. That's the show right there. That's what people want to see. What? I know. Speaking of big nights in Winnipeg, do we have? Did you find any clips at all, Russell?
I didn't have anything there, and he tried really hard.
Did he?
Like, we're talking Fred Anderson, the way he tries during a regular season game in January. That's how hard he tried.
So I think that's hard.
Yeah.
But I sense once again the dripping of the sarcasm. Dale Howard-Chuck night in Winnipeg. I wasn't going to show something from Buffalo. This is Dale Howard-Chuck night in Winnipeg. And the good news as well for the Jets, you play Arizona.
The worst team in the history
we're
of
Arizona.
the world.
We're the worst team. Play us and win. You'll see what we mean.
That's another good one.
It's gold.
That's a really good one.
And here comes a song from Mike Richards. Yeah, what's going on with me today? I really need a drink. Dale Howard-Chuck, speaking of drinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's a celebration.
That
as
is.
Dave would know, I can tell you, my good friend Dave, who really has nothing you really could pick on. There's nothing. He's a pretty, great wife, beautiful children, does a wonderful job, and he's been the best professional I've ever worked with. But when it comes to Dale Howard-Chuck, there's cue the psycho music or the uneasy violins, because I believe both children are they born on the same day as Dale?
Nicole is born on the same day, and Marissa's the day after.
Oh, come on. That's like a Stephen King movie. No one does that. How do you even time that?
Okay.
Like, is Irene going, no, No, we can't conceive tonight. I'm not doing it. And they mukala shamakala. You know, and then
hey, they weren't boys, they were girls.
Yeah, girls.
I can only handle
but see, that's the payback. That's the payback.
That might be the payback for a lot of things.
Yeah, because all of a sudden beautiful girls turn into beautiful teenagers, then all of a sudden troubles. Yeah.
Then it comes into Psycho Dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry.
But
building to that.
But Dale Howard-Chuck, and look, we'll get him on. He's got to come in studio, and we know that we can do that. He's a pretty good guy. And
we might have to wait till the off season. He's too busy leading the Barrie Colts to another OHL championship.
He's done a fantastic job there.
First place Colts right now, by the way. I don't know how long they're going to stay up there because Mississauga has some reinforcements in that division. But, hey, who knows how long he's going to be staying in the OHL to begin with, because there's a lot of talk within the next couple of years. Well, he's one of the next ones to get that call.
There's going to be some vacancies, Dave. And,
exactly.
if you're Rick Tocchet,
oof.
How long does that last?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, I get
if you're Rick Tocchet, how long do you want it to last?
Well, this is getting, would you say roast beef? That if the Coyotes continue on the run that they currently have right now, go to the Russ Cam.
Yeah, let's go to the Russ Cam.
If they continue on this pace, they are on pace for 30 points this season.
That is fantastic. Great effort, guys.
That is not easy to do.
After 18 games, Tampa Bay already has 30 points.
Do you think they phone them up and going, hey, can't believe all the points we have here. How's it going for you guys? They should play this music when they play. That'd be really insulting.
That should be their intro music.
Here come the guy who's skating down the ice. What's with the music? I think they're mocking their own team now. Yeah, that's awful. And so, therefore, a win, I'm sure, tonight, Dave, for your Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, I hope so.
It's got to be. Look,
that would look so bad if you lose that game. I mean, there's a reason they picked this game. It's because the Coyotes have the Jets history, right? Yep. Even though I'm never going to admit that. And you play for one organization, you're representing another, and whatevs.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, the importance of Dale Howard-Chuck. Hold on.
73.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go. Sorry, go with the music.
Okay, no, yeah. No, I was going to play the
100.
Oh, this music doesn't work. What is this? Oh, this is the Austin Matthews music.
We can make anything work.
Russ, what's going on? I mean, I'm afraid. Well, how come Austin Matthews?
That is.
How come he's not going to play no more?
Should we bring in his Uncle Felix?
That's who's talking now, because I think a long time I told him. That music is over. All of a sudden it just stopped. Yeah, even it was offended. Even the music was offended by that voice.
I was going to ask him. Did he work?
Okay,
he work on the field a little long with the donkeys and all the chickens? And
he never worked with burros or pollo. He did none of that. He was always skating.
Really?
Yep.
Now, where do you skate in Mexico when you?
Nowhere really. No, it's hard. You can't skate on the margaritas.
Before we go here, Felix, are you friends by any chance with Jose Reyes?
Oh, I know him too.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk to him? He's right beside me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to
ask him something.
Jose, you're a free agent this offseason, and according to Major League Baseball Inside Trading, you're actually ranked higher than Jose Bautista in a depth chart. I find that surprising. You find it surprising that you're ahead of your ex-teammate?
I find it surprising that I'm even going to play. Hold on, my wife is saying something. You be quiet.
Oh, don't get into that.
Oops.
Don't get into that part. Jose and Felix, great talking to you both. All right.
The people that are on the show. Oh, speaking of funny. Now, this is funny.
Okay.
I don't think it's not properly the National Hockey League. Not that leave this alone. Get out of my underwear, lousy pricks. You don't know what's going on. Always give you the. How often do we say properly the National Hockey League?
Like 7 times per clip.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I'm gonna call Gary Getman. That was supposed to be Gary Bettman.
I'm okay.
I'm going to call Gary Gulman. He's going to have a bit on that. You know what? Somehow, is it just me, or are you liking, like everybody else, I am, Yager more now than you ever did? Because I wasn't a huge Yager guy. In fact, I always heard he was kind of standoffish, that there was, some of this, that arrogance going on a little bit. And then all of a sudden, as he's been getting older, I'm like, is it me or he's becoming like the coolest guy like ever?
He is. He is.
He is.
And I don't.
He's
want
a boss.
I don't want him ever to retire. And I want him to keep. I want him to see him with the Winnipeg Jets. I thought he was a fit with the Montreal Canadiens. I even thought he was a fit here with the Toronto Maple Leafs to play with an Austin Matthews to kind of learn the ropes, to get more street school than anything else. And I think he's going to do it with the Calgary Flames. Some of the comments right now in that dressing room is probably a lot more. I'm struggling for the words here, but you put Yager in a dressing room, and the dressing room's better. Do you know what I mean?
I still think Vegas made a mistake. Like, even though, I'm not talking about records, I just think Jaromir Jagr in Las Vegas, why would that not be a thing for them?
It'd be great. You could market everything around.
He was, what, $1 million? Is that what he is?
No, yeah. It's
So
more than that.
So that's like, we're saying $1 million. Fat. Like, who's playing for that? $1 million pretty good. But for a team, it's free. So
Yes.
Jaromir Jagr on your, and look, they're a great promotional machine, the Golden Knights.
Big time.
Like their PR people are fantastic, and they can. I don't know who it is. Maybe we should find out who that is. They probably never get called up. They're not. Who's doing interviews with their PR person? Those that control social media and everything else. We should do it because they're funny.
Yeah,
these
very
people
funny.
get it. Here's funny, and this guy does get it, and I'm sure all Calgarians are having a great time with Jaromir Jagr. Jaromir Jagr was asked about Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau. Here's what Jaromir Jagr had to say.
I never played with that small guy ever. But you know what? It was a different league. It's just, if you were under 6 foot, I don't, you wouldn't have on a team. They wouldn't draft you at all. There was only special guys, smaller than 6 foot to play in the league. So, but the league is different, and he is a very special guy, and he proved it night after night. The way he can create the chances for himself and teammates and line mates, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so there's Jaromir Jagr. Courtesy of our friends at Rogers Sportsnet.
Yes.
The show of the stars. Johnny Gaudreau is small, though.
Very tiny.
Like everything else. They've in street clothes.
He's kind of like.
Wonder who that would be.
No, I don't know. It's Johnny Gaudreau's music. Russell's music.
Why they call Johnny Gaudreau the amazing miniature man. They got Johnny Hockey's a good one.
Yep. Hey, did you see Russell's Twitter account over the weekend?
He's tweeting.
He's tweeting pictures of himself playing hockey in Ryerson, Intramurals.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, though. Isn't that the fundraising thing? Isn't that true? Isn't that what you did?
Yeah, I
Listen to this though, Dave.
did post one picture on Instagram of myself playing, but on the weekend we did throw a party to raise money for Movember, and we raised $385 on Saturday.
Look at that.
Hey. Why didn't you promote that on the show on the Friday?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I
Did you
tweeted it
forget
out.
you have a microphone in front of you for like 5 days a week?
Yeah,
I tweeted it out earlier in the week, but not much response.
Are you doing the Movember thing? Because it's already the 15th, and I see a couple.
Oh, is that what that is?
Lines of hair.
I'm trying my best, and
I
it's
didn't
not.
realize
It's
that.
not working out.
You know what? I think can you come in front of the good camera? We got to take
come on by.
So we got to see the difference, right? That's how you do it. You measure a man by this.
Did you?
Okay, which camera? I think you've got to go. So go right in front of me. You got to go in front of me so people can get it. No, in front of me.
Yeah. Right there.
It's get close enough, and let's just. There it is.
So there's Russell after 15 days.
This is November the 14th, ladies and gentlemen. November the 14th.
Is it the 14th today? Okay.
Okay, that's enough of your head on there. I think people all of a sudden. That's enough of that.
And I shaved right here, Russell. I shaved on Sunday.
People always ask me. I said, look, I just don't know. I want to see myself in a mustache. I don't even have. I got to shave all the time.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I'm clean shaven.
Yeah.
Because that's what the ladies like.
I'm just lazier than you. That's all. When it comes to that.
You're in the playoffs. It's Dale Howardchuk night. He'll shave after the award, after the ceremony. That's what's going to happen. What else do I have on there? What else before we get to Carolyn Pierce once again from Fox Sports and BT Sport looking forward to. And what an interesting background she has, too, as a heptathlete for Great Britain. Same age as my very good friend, Jessica Zelinka, who represented Canada so well for all those years.
Very good friend.
Yeah. I wish he was a better than just friend. Just saying. What? Why does that happen to me? Why do I do things like that?
I don't know, but
Jessica, if you're listening, though, seriously.
But it's good.
If you're listening. I know that you're married to a man that does water polo. So, how's that going?
Oof.
How much does he get paid? Not a lot, I don't think.
Rhymes with Nero.
Yep. Ha-ha. Schnero for your water friend. Actually, I think they have 2 kids now. So what else do I have on there? I've got something weird. I know that.
You got LeBron.
Okay, let's do a little.
shot.
Okay, let's do a little LeBron. So LeBron, for some reason, I don't know if you think this, but like I like LeBron. I've always liked what he stands for. But
I'm okay with him. Yep.
Is he going through a year though where people are kind of picking at him a little bit? Because it kind of feels like all of a sudden he's getting mocked. Now, granted, Cleveland has not had the start to the season that they wanted, but there just seems to be.
He was getting mocked in the offseason, too.
Yeah. So,
Kyrie Irving was doing it. A little bit of Steph Curry was doing it.
Is it just because he is, quote unquote, the king? Is that why?
Well, you always want to take a piece out of the guy on top, right?
Because it really seems like all of a sudden he's getting. And again, it's not like you've done this. It's not in a serious manner. It's in that kind of smack talk way. The Cavs were down by 23 points to the Knicks. 23 points. Cleveland comes back. And once again, courtesy and property of the National Basketball Association, here is LeBron at his finest.
Step back 3. Oh, holy cow! And MSG Cavaliers have taken the lead. 197. Isaiah Thomas loving it. And the Knicks are feeling the color awfully tight. Shoot it, LeBron. Deep in the garden. My goodness.
Yeah, that's what he did. But again, it's regular season in the East. I hate to say it, but so?
Yeah, but you know that
like just make the playoffs and then
that clip right there leads every single ESPN Sports Center.
Sure it does.
That clip right there.
I mean, historically coming back from 23 points, that's how big that was.
I don't know. It's November the 14th, yeah. But that's the way it is.
And again, like I said, I just think that for the most part, now that we've seen the NBA, what happens, who cares about what happens in the East? And so all of a sudden, it becomes less engaging, I think, for anybody who's a fan of the association. Case in point, have you seen the numbers for the Toronto Raptors so far?
They're brilliant.
They are, like, as someone said, similar numbers that you'd see when CTV would show, like, the luge. Not that there's anything against the luge guys.
Two-man luge, I have something against that.
Would you ever do that?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I'd go one-man luge.
Yeah, I could do the single guy.
Yes, but I'm not.
Could you do this skeleton?
Well, I think both of those sports are ridiculous, skeleton and luge. But the sport I did try, Mike, was we went on a media run of it in Calgary. I did the bobsled.
It's COP.
Yeah, it's COP, and it was scary as hell. So basically, it was 4-man bob. So we had the driver, we had the gear man, and the 2 media people were in the middle. So basically, I just had to sit in the middle, and they pushed off. Like I didn't even push off and jump in like they do on the bob, and it was a rush. It was
like it is crazy.
It was fast as hell, and man, it was scary, but it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it.
Well, I think it's time now that through the magic of Skype, and you know how much fun this is for me.
It is magical.
And of course, it's 7:30 L.A. time. I'm calling a little early, so hopefully this is okay.
Oh, we're gonna hear a sleepy voice.
Don't get me started, Dave. Oh. Here we go.
Hello.
I'm looking for the lovely Caroline Pierce. It's Mike Richards calling from rawmikeRichards.com.
Hi, Mike. It's Caroline speaking. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. And, of course, I realize, now, I don't know if you get this a lot, but there I am going, and because the lovely Lisa Varga, our mutual good friend.
Yes. Hi, Lisa. She's listening.
Yeah,
I know she's listening this morning.
I know. She's probably watching because we're live on camera as well, so just so you know.
Yeah.
Hope you look good. And
oh God, don't tell me I just got out of bed. I'm on the West Coast.
and I'm watching after, I guess, with the Nate Diaz fight, and I'm watching this lovely woman interviewing one of my favorites. See, I have an Irish background, so we tend to stick together. And
You're a Conor fan.
I need to hear from a real God, is what I'm talking about. And there he is. He's being so honest with you after that defeat of Nate Diaz. And and what are you coming up an escalator or whatever it was you were doing?
We would go.
I've never seen anything like that before. And guess what? I thought that in terms of talking to the real person and maybe not even the real God show, I thought that was a tremendous interview, and I was so gravitated towards that particular moment just because of the way it was shot, the conversation that you had, and I didn't realize at the time that was you. I didn't realize that. Oh my!
Really?
No.
Oh, thank you. That interview's had so many eyes on it because it was just really raw. It was obviously appropriate for your show. It was just really raw. I mean, we had this moment where they said to us, you can talk to him, but only if you're willing to walk and talk to him. We've got to get him to the press conference right away. So my camera guy's walking backwards. I'm like holding the wires, and we're kind of backing up, and then you could see the camera's going up and down, and Conor's guiding us where to walk. And yeah, I think he earned even more fans from that because, like you say, he was so real, and it was one of those things. Like when you interview someone that's won a fight, it's easy, they're great energy, they feel good. But when you interview someone, and such a big star as well, who's suffered such a big defeat in such a public way, it is hard to know what to kind of say. So for me, I just go initially for the emotion, what's the emotion, and then talk a little bit tactically about what happened. But he was immediately really reflective on what had happened, really intuitive as to, what had just taken place, even though it was probably only 20 minutes before.
But
thank you.
That's a great way of putting it too, though, Carolina. I think reflective, and I think a lot of people don't really see that because he's a showman. He puts on a show. Now, can you explain what happened last night? Because it was in Dublin, and one of his Irishmen win. It was Bellator, and I don't know if you saw it, but he jumps into the octagon. He's so excited, he hugs his guy. But then the official, obviously it's not Conor's fight, tries to push him out, and then he slaps him.
Well, I know the official well. Yeah, Mark Goddard's the official. He's an English guy, and he's doing his job.
Yeah.
If Conor just waited, I think he'd just waited like another 5 minutes, he would have been allowed in the octagon to, like the family and friends are, to kind of congratulate and whatever. But he did so while the other guy, the opponent, was knocked out on the floor, the other side of the cage. He hadn't even been seen to and hadn't been attended to. So Mark Goddard's just doing his job and pulling Conor off. And yeah, I don't know the ins and outs. I've seen it in the news as sure you have, but I don't know the ins and outs. But the thing is, now they're talking about Conor potentially, what the repercussions for that are. Other fighters like Roy Nelson and others that have had a similar situation where they've shoved a referee in the past, they've had up to a year ban.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting what they do with Conor. He's their star, he's their moneymaker. Are they going to be some special circumstances for him?
Yeah,
because we were hoping he'd fight at UFC 219 December 30th in Vegas. So we shall see.
And that's exactly it. Good morning, Caroline. It's David Bastel here. I wanted to ask you about that. Dana White has gone on record saying he wanted to see Conor McGregor fight by year's end, and we're sitting here in the middle of November, and after this incident yesterday, it might be a while, won't it?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think he might be on the March card instead if he doesn't make this December 30th one. Conor wanted to fight by the end of the year. The UFC did, but then there was all that talk about he wants a stake in the company to make it happen. Dana White told us at UFC 217 the other weekend in New York, he said, look, we always get deals done with Conor. That's not a problem. We'll sort something out. So we were all feeling quite hopeful. But with this, I don't think they might well let him. It's just the time it will take to go through legally what they can and can't do and what fine or whatever there be. We're losing time in that fight being confirmed. Do you know what I mean? And both fighters getting ready. So at this point, it seems unlikely, unfortunately.
Okay, let me throw something at you that you may or may not have seen. It just came down, actually, our news wires about 45 minutes ago. Oscar De La Hoya has come out and has publicly stated that he will come out of retirement to fight Conor McGregor, and that he's been secretly training, claims to be faster and stronger than ever, which is kind of interesting because he's 44 years old.
Yes.
Is this something, in your opinion, that A, as a broadcaster, you want to see, and B, is that something that Conor McGregor would entertain, considering what we saw a couple months back with Floyd Mayweather?
Oh, yeah, I read the headline. I haven't read the whole thing on it this morning. But yes and yes. I mean, I did an hour interview with Conor in Glasgow, where it was a sit-down for an organisation called Kong Events, and literally it was on stage, 3,000 people. It was him and I talking on stage, for this show. And in it and afterwards and backstage, I just got the impression he'd be up for anything. If it's going to earn him money and, eyes on things, I think he'd be up for anything. I think his priority is to defend his belt first. I think he knows that's something he has to do. And then the Nate Diaz fight for the trilogy, I think something that will happen. But after that, I'd say 100% if there's some kind of big offer like that will earn a lot of money and that will have lots of eyes on it, that he'd go back into boxing again and fight another legend. I think so.
So the GSP potential of where that fight would be with Conor McGregor, I'd be torn a little bit because it's both the Irish side and the Canadian side. But people ask me all the time. They said, "Look, I'm a pretty decent guy." They said, "But if Conor McGregor wasn't Irish, would you like him?" And that's a very tough question because
people do. People aren't Irish do like it.
Well, when he was going on, with Mayweather and they went to the different towns, there's no question. I mean, you were there. The more popular guy, even in American cities, was Conor McGregor.
Yeah. I know Conor well. I like him a lot. You know what I like about him? He's really real in the sense that all the people around him, his girlfriend, his teammates, his coaches, they've been there with him from the beginning, from when they were all sleeping on the gym floor, had no money. These are the same guys that he's now so loyal to, that he's brought through with him and support. Just that incident at Bellator, he jumped in the cage, congratulates his teammate. He's so passionate about what he does and the people around him. And so I think, underneath the bravado, which is something that comes completely natural to him, I don't even think it's an act most of the time. I think it is just a really loyal guy. I think that's that kind of stoic Irish thing as well, where he comes from. He's a genuinely loyal guy. So I think regardless of all that and regardless of being Irish, I think he's got fans all over the world. Anywhere we go with him where he fights, he's the most popular fighter, or he's at least getting people talking.
Well, do you think if there was a fight then, and people say, where do you think it would be? But if they had it in Dublin, if we're talking GSP now, and someone said,
GSP.
Would it be in because I can't? Crow Park is a hallowed Gaelic athletic association. It's a GAA cathedral. It's a shrine to Gaelic athletic sports.
And there's lots of issues with making that happen, isn't it? With it being outdoors and it being Ireland. Yeah.
I don't know where else because Aviva, I guess, and that's where they play.
What weight do you think it would take place at? Do you think it would be welterweight?
Well, I mean, what weight do they do? I mean, what would be the grade weight that they would fight at? What weight do you think it would? I
mean, it could be 155 or 170 because GSP wasn't a big welterweight, was he? Before, obviously, he moved up to middleweight to fight this thing, but he wasn't a big welterweight. So potentially he could go down, and that's Conor's most comfortable weight, I'd say.
Yeah.
But Conor's also fought at welterweight, but against a Nick Diaz, who's also a bit more of a lightweight anyway. Naturally, so I don't know. But both of them are champions. Who's going to agree to go into the other's territory?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the only thing, Caroline, with the GSP weight thing, when he fought Michael Bisping, that's maybe the thickest and the biggest I've seen GSP, and maybe with age and being out of the ring for a while, he's having a hard time cutting weight. I don't know. These things happen as you get older, so that might be a little bit of a problem as well.
That's definitely an option. I was listening to him on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour, actually, and he was just saying how many issues he had with that extra weight. That he was saying the morning of the fight, like he threw up his breakfast, he wasn't keeping anything down. He initially put on a lot more weight in camp and had to bring it back down again because he just wasn't mobile and had the same agility and speed at that weight. So it was he said it's as if his body was rejecting the extra weight. It wasn't. So going up wasn't where he was comfortable at all.
No, Carolyn.
And he's even now not even committing to the Whittaker fight. It was in his contract to defend his middleweight belt to Robert Whittaker, and even now he's saying, "Oh, Whitty, things change." So I don't know. Maybe going down. Is more in his mind, but.
Sorry, we're in.
But no one's confirmed that fight will happen with McGregor, have they? I think that's just all talk at this point.
It is talk, yes.
Well, it will be interesting. Nonetheless, we're in conversation with Caroline Pierce here on rawmike.richards.com. You can watch from the website or, as you're doing right now, live on YouTube on the dedicated YouTube channel. Now, looking at UFC as a whole, Caroline, sometimes when I see past champions coming back, or those that toy with retirement and come back, I'm always a little wary about the blood of the sport, and that is because youth is the most important thing, I think, to any sort of in this case it's a professional league. And I look at the overall sort of, I guess, interaction around the world with fighters. Is UFC, is it healthy? Is there any point where you sort of look at it and become concerned that it is not maybe what it started? Now, nothing can really truly be what it started out, but there's got to be a consistency. And I just wonder, is there a thought with some of these older fighters coming back, and they're the bigger of the draws? Is there a problem with UFC?
Problem with UFC? What do you mean? Is in the safety and how they look after them?
The engagement with audience, because again, when you're seeing older fighters come back or they're in the twilight of their careers, I'm always concerned that there's not where do you look at the young and upcoming fighters? Because they're not more popular currently right now than the ones that are coming back.
Yeah. I think the ones that come back do it because they look at how the landscape of the UFC has changed. I mean, it's grown in popularity so much. The Ronda Rousey, the Conor McGregors that have just brought so many eyes to it from outside its immediate circle that I think these fighters think it wasn't like that when I was, involved. I want to get back. I want a little bit of a taste of that limelight again. With GSP now, with all the, more strict and rigid drug regulations, he felt more comfortable coming back in. I don't know. I think for a lot of them, they don't know anything else. They stopped fighting, and that was their life. They don't know or do anything else. So a lot of them, like even Bisping said after that last fight, he's like, I'm not sure I'm going to retire yet. He said, I don't know what else to do. This is what I do. So you're right. I think they're still the ones that are getting the eyes on it, and the young ones. There's just been this trend towards the money fights. The money fights. I mean, McGregor Mayweather was an example of that. It was the money belt. But even within the UFC, genuine or number one contenders are being overlooked for somebody that's going to make a bigger headline, more pay-per-view, etc. So I think that is an issue. But I think most of the fighters get it. They realize, and I think a few of them are adapting other things they do and the way they speak, almost a bit of the Conor McGregor effect, if you like, to get more attention on themselves. Because they realize that it is a sport, but it's entertainment, isn't it?
Oh, fully entertainment. And, that sort of leads me into, speaking of entertainment, obviously you bring a certain pizzazz to the camera. This is what I'm using today, pizzazz. But your
I'll take it. I'll take that.
Your background is fantastic. I always have a lot of respect for national amateur athletes. And when I saw that, your involvement with, heptathlete. Now, when I was out in Calgary for 6.5 years, so I got to know a lot of the national athletes, including Jessica Zelenka used to come on the show all the time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you would a lot of athletes here, like cyclists, they will transition to winter sports. Sometimes it's speed skating, sometimes it's bobsled. Yeah. But people would think in Great Britain, where are you? What was it, Big Ben? What are you sliding down? Like, how are you doing
it's really funny. Well, I was in the peak of my athletic career, track and field. It was going great, and a former teammate, heptathlete of mine, had joined the British bobsled team a few years before. And she just called me up and she said, look, we're looking to increase the strength of depth in our team. Do you want to try out? And I was a strong athlete. My strength to weight ratio was really high, and I could clean and jerk almost 90 kilograms, whatever that is in pounds. But so she took me along to trials at Bath University. So at the University of Bath, they've got an outdoor push track. So it's not on ice. It's basically on runners, but they can time you doing the push, like the bobsled push, and see how you get into the sled and whatever. So I literally did that, and I broke all their push track records for that push part. And then I found myself less than a month later out in Calgary, training with the team in preparation for the World Championships. This was 2005, I think. So it was quite surreal. But I remember standing there the first morning at the top of the track in Calgary thinking, how did I get here? It's like 6 a.m. My eyelashes have gone crispy. My contact lenses are frozen to my eyeballs. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm normally prancing around a track, with a coach to kind of help me warm up and, my own lane. And but it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was a great time. I did that for a couple of years.
And Dave,
but the British team do recruit either people from the military, like the army, or they recruit other track and field athletes. We've had Limp Christie do it. We've had some big names in track join our British team.
And David has actually, was it the bobsled you did, Dave?
Did the bobsled track in Calgary? Yeah. I think we were probably in Calgary at the same time, Caroline. I was I was in Calgary in 2005, 2006.
Yeah, that would have been the same time.
Yeah, I was doing a television reporter contract for a national station called The Score, and Mike was the best morning show in Calgary at the time. So.
I was a real god, Caroline.
Love the accent.
Now this is interesting too. So you go from this, and you end up in broadcasting, but not only broadcasting. You know, you could be, involved with footy, which people would probably think is a natural, or track and field, which of course, but UFC, now UFC. So how does that happen for you? How does this come about?
Yeah, a lot of things in my life have come about in a kind of obscure way. The same way bobsled came about. It was never something that was on my radar. But BT Sport, which is the British network I report and host for, they launched as a channel only sort of 5 years ago, and they got in touch with me. Well, they're speaking to my agent about getting me involved in some way, and I've been doing various sports broadcasting and on some reporting on things like the world's strongest man, British superbikes, a bit of track and field, that kind of thing. And they wanted to get me involved with the channel, and we were talking about MotoGP and things that that I had a background in or some experience in. And then out of the blue, I was on my holiday, on my vacation, and I had a call from my agent saying, "Oh, they want you to kind of anchor the weekly magazine show on the UFC." I remember thinking, oh, okay. As I could name two fighters, and it was GSP and Anderson Silva at that time, like 5 years ago. It wasn't something I'd grown up with or was very aware of. But luckily, my boyfriend at the time used to be a fighter, not for the UFC, but a different organization. And we just sat for the rest of that holiday, and we just watched tape, and I just threw myself into it, like every day, just living and breathing it, meeting fighters, and they gave me this weekly show, which then led on to getting out to the events and hosting them live, and then UFC Fight Pass wanted me to cover the European events for them as their reporter, and then Fox Sports offered me a contract for the kind of Asia and European events, and a contract which meant I could come out to the US as well. And yeah, it sort of all went from there, and I continue sort of mainly as the US correspondent for BT Sport while I'm here in the States.
Well,
so it's funny how things work out. It was never on my radar, but I just fell in love with the sport, and I've just thrown myself into it. I've done training, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, just so I can read the sport and understand it better, and got some great friends in the sport now as well.
Well,
so it's been a funny journey.
It's been, and here's the thing: it's been such a lovely time, delightful. You're just an absolute delight. But now I'm going to say something. You're going to go, okay. Now I don't like him.
Okay.
Now, okay, and here's what it is. And my audience is going to know what I'm talking about. Dave doesn't know, and I know Russell doesn't know what I'm about to say.
Oh,
right.
Because as I'm looking at the resume, there is something on your resume that I started to laugh because I found the sport by mistake and started making fun of it, and it made a lot of people mad in a certain part of the world. Can you guess what
Go on. Hit me with it.
Kabaddi.
Kabaddi. Oh, yeah.
What the hell is that, Caroline?
Don't even know what it is.
Guys are touching their hands. They're holding their breath. They're trying to squeeze away from other guys, and it looks like a slap and tickle event. I have no idea what that thing is. And people are they?
It's violent. It's a really physical sport. And this is another thing that came my way. I don't know how I ended up in these things, but exactly a year ago, actually, or just over a year ago, I went out to India to work for Star Sports India, hosting the World Cup of Kabaddi. But don't laugh, Kabaddi is the second biggest sport behind cricket in India. Yeah. Millions of people were.
They don't like me. They don't like me. The comments said no. They don't like
now.
Me. No.
I have a lot of Indian followers on Twitter if they're watching. But and I had to go into Kabaddi school. I was in Mumbai, and every day I was turning up at Star Sports to go into Kabaddi school. Then I had to learn how to pronounce every team's name because it wasn't easy. Even there was an American team, there was an English team, there was a Canadian team, and the Americans were full of former American football players. British team seemed to have a lot of rugby players in. Sure. The Australian team had a lot of rugby players in. But the teams that have been playing it for a long time, like India, South Korea, Iraq, all those teams, it's fast paced. They're throwing each other around. It's not holding hands and tickling and whatever. But the interesting thing is, as they're making their raid, they have to do a raid into the opponent's quarter or half, if you like. They have to chant the words kabaddi under their breath. So they're going kabaddi, 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 kabaddi for the 60 seconds of the raid. If they break that, what they call it, a can, they're out. The team turns around and the other team go into a fence. But it was a fun sport. And then we ended up in Ahmedabad where the tournament took place. Millions of people. We couldn't walk down the street. Millions of people were tuning in. But if you've ever been to India, it's just the most eye-opening, crazy, but yet spiritual place you'll ever go. It was
Well,
a really awesome experience.
You have, as they say in North America, you have really rounded all the bases in this career so far, and still going. And you know what? Thank you so much.
I'm wondering what's next.
Oh, well, so are we. Trust me, I'm glued to this one. Well, I appreciate you getting up with us and talking with us on the air today.
My pleasure.
I said you're just lovely, and you do a great job, and we're looking forward to certainly more of your work wherever it may take you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with you again, but you were just delightful here today.
Thanks, Mike. Great to talk to you.
That is Caroline Pierce joining us here. Does also Fox Sports and BT Sport out of Los Angeles. But I said, what a crazy background when I saw Dave.
No kidding. That resume. Woo.
When I saw Kabaddi, I went, that's not good.
No, it's not.
Remember those guys? They were. Don't call them assholes. That's what one guy said. I said, no, I'm not. I'm taking that back. I am apologizing to the Kabaddi League of Men, or whatever.
Is that the name of it?
I don't know.
Is that it?
I don't know. Maybe they're a women's team, but I kind of doubt it. I tend to doubt that. You're watching rawmike.richards.com, both on the YouTube channel and, of course, on the website. Subscribe because we like that. We appreciate that. We also had mentioned a little bit about basketball and, of course, the Toronto Raptors. And I guess we sort of passed right by the excitement of last night's football game, Dave.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
That was a tremendous game. I don't even have it says play epic music. I don't know if I can play epic music for that last night. Well, does this see if this? Okay, it's not even doing it.
45-21 the final. Not even close.
Did you? I didn't make a play on this game, so I didn't. I have to admit, I wasn't.
I was actually working last night at Sportsnet. So
you were working at Sportsnet. Yeah, what are you doing at Sportsnet last night?
Hosting the 7 to 11 show. I'm doing it again today.
Look at you working like a madman.
I know, madman at best. So we had a little preview of it, and I don't know. All the numbers pointed to Carolina -10, so that's what I kind of said, and. Well, it was a safe bet considering they beat them by 3 touchdowns, and so
both Thursday,
it wasn't even close.
Both Thursday night football and Monday night football going back to what we're used to.
Yes,
horrible.
But there is some good news because this Thursday promises to be, or at least on paper, it promises to be a pretty good matchup with Tennessee visiting Pittsburgh. These are 2 first-place teams in their divisions and definitely in the thick of things. And then on the Monday night, it's Atlanta traveling to Seattle. And a lot of people may remember just a couple short years ago, Atlanta went to Seattle, and if it wasn't for a poorly officiated call on a Julio Jones catch, Atlanta wins that game. And Seattle's missing Richard Sherman. Sherman is out. Atlanta has to win. I'm just saying it might be closer than we think. Both numbers are around that field goal mark. Pittsburgh 7 actually, surprisingly, but that Seattle's number is -3 for the Seahawks at home against the Falcons on Monday Night Football.
In other things, NFL was interesting. The Raiders they break ground in Vegas with a ceremony that was pretty emotional, and of course, not just the ceremony itself. But, of course, because of the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas. And I thought, so there was Mark Davis, and they made a huge tribute to those that were slaughtered. There's no other way to put it. I think, Dave, sometimes you say loss of life, you say killed. They were slaughtered by a madman. Yeah. And I think when you look at what that community's been through, I don't know about you watching here today or listening on the podcast, but I still have a really weird feeling about even traveling to Las Vegas, because the first thing that you would normally think, there's many things that you think about going to Las Vegas, all the things you were going to do, but I'm hard-pressed to think that most people aren't thinking about that first, because I know I am, Dave.
Yep.
I know I am. And so Mark Davis, and they had this groundbreaking ceremony in Las Vegas, and I thought, quite frankly, did a really good job. Here's how it looked.
For the Raiders to be successful and ultimately win, it takes teamwork. Nowhere has the notion of teamwork been better displayed or more evident than in Las Vegas on the evening of October 1st, 2017, when, with the world watching, Mayor Carolyn Goodman, County Commissioner Steve Sisolak, Representative Dina Titus, Sheriff Joe Lombardo, their staffs, all the first responders, emergency health care workers, and local citizenry seamlessly work together to bring a sense of safety and security to a situation that without teamwork could have resulted in chaos. The Raiders are proud and honored to be joining such a special team, for together we are Vegas strong.
One of the first phone calls I got were from Mark Davis and Mark Bedane asking how they could help. They had players in hospitals, in police stations, in fire stations, trying to help get us through that time. Those aren't just spotlights you see behind me. There are 58 lights there, representing the 58 lives that were lost on that fateful day. They have been our partners. They continue to be our partners.
How important was it to
anyways, I just wanted to show you a sample of what that was, Dave, but obviously pretty emotional. And, you know, I'll be honest, from time to time, not looking at the bigger picture, but I'm talking about the NFL specific in this point, I keep forgetting that the Raiders are going to be in Las Vegas.
It's weird to
like
even think about that.
I'm like, whoa, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you know the NHL team is there, and that's still kind of different.
Sure it is.
You know, like even I'm writing down the schedule tonight, and Vegas is in Edmonton, so Vegas at Edmonton, it just sounds
looks,
weird.
Yeah, it does look weird.
You know what I mean?
Real.
But nonetheless, they're happy to have them, and Vegas is getting a damn good football team because once they get their act together on defense, and I know they've been riddled with injuries. 4-5 on the season is not a very good record to start. They will be good, and you're getting a traditional, historic, almost America's bad guys team.
Sure you are. It's I mean, if all the teams you could think that could move to Las Vegas,
yes,
that fits the profile, I think is what we're talking about.
That would be them.
That's the Las Vegas, Las Vegas Raiders you're talking about. Now, the one thing that I thought was really cool, and I still do, I've always loved stadiums. I don't know why I'm so fascinated. It's why in high school, when I wouldn't go to class and then there'd be a huge exam or test, sure, it was fake Chinese a couple times, and I wish that wasn't a true story, but it is a true story, and it continued on into university. But I would draw stadiums, Dave. I would imagine.
See, I thought you draw goalies.
Yeah, and goalies too.
I used to draw goalies.
I did goalies.
Yeah.
Did goalies. But to take the time.
Yes.
I mean, Dave, I wasn't talking about 35,000, 40,000 seaters. I was talking about, sort of what I envisioned. Always the Hamilton Tiger Cats would play in this multi-tiered 100,000 seater. Well, when I see the buildings they're building, these are what is coming out of these architects' heads. Like, how about Atlanta? How about what Atlanta looks like, what Minnesota's building looks like.
Gorgeous, both of them.
And I'll be honest, the building built by the Bombers, the CFL, Saskatchewan Roughriders, that building, you're looking at some really inventive, really crazy, good-looking stuff. Even Ottawa, the mix of the old and then the new on the one side. I love that stuff. And so do you wonder what Las Vegas, I mean, after, Jerry's World and everything else that's been built, what is Las Vegas going to look like? So here's a virtual tour. And if you haven't seen it before, because I didn't until this morning, this is going to be the home of your Las Vegas Raiders. And I think they're talking about 10 levels, Dave. 10 different levels. The facility that will house, you can only imagine the retail, the bars.
Yep.
And who's going to do it better than Las Vegas? It will be stunning. Yes, the Las Vegas Raiders, filled full of booze and broads. No. Change that script.
Take two.
The autumn wind.
Use a pirate.
No, we use that.
Nope.
Oh, check that. The call girls and those little Mexicans with their cards that they flick at your face. On your way to getting hammered at a Raiders game where they'll be shivved in the parking lot by a guy who looks like Darth Vader.
And the pictures in the cars look exactly like the girl that you would get.
They're exactly those ones. I can't believe I'm calling Jenna Jameson to come over. No, scratch that. But how about that? There it is.
Wow.
From that, of course, from the Las Vegas was it Review Journal is the newspaper down there, but that's what it's going to look like. How good is that going to be?
That's going to be massive. And you know that once that stadium is built, so that, well, okay, so it's 2017. So when are they in there? 2019? So they'll probably get the Super Bowl by 2022. And I'm guessing that itself is going to be what Miami used to be, what New Orleans used to be, where you get a Super Bowl every 3 years. You know what I mean?
Well,
and then they throw it here and there, like Minnesota this year, for example. New stadium, promised of a Super Bowl. This facility, and if you're the league, if you're the NFL, and you know what those 2 weeks are all about because you have that bye week, and you're in Las Vegas for different trade shows and the actual game itself, the Strip, that is going to be big time party.
Like, that is the experience, really, what they're looking for. And as I said, for the emotional rehabilitation for that city, I think it's really important. It's nice to see that that they're moving forward with it because, again, just the relationship, of course, our good friends at DKI. There's Jeff Stewart, the lovable Stu Ball, who's helping out the family. And if you haven't heard this, it was in Okotoks, Alberta, where a couple went down there. They have 2 young boys. Only the father comes back. The mother never coming back because of that madman. So when you think of the weight of emotion that surrounds that, I mean, if you're landing at McCarran, going in there, it's not that far, and I have to think it almost becomes, I would think, a bit of a pilgrimage. So again, our hearts break for that city, but they are moving forward as you would expect them to do, and they have an excellent mayor. They've got just again the first responders who were mentioned in Mark Davis's speech. It is all part and parcel, I think, of making the city great again, because it is a great place to go. It is a lot of fun. Now, coming up this week, Dave, who do we got coming up?
Our guests include tomorrow Dan Robson, who wrote not only the Gilmore book, but he wrote the book on Pat Quinn. He'll be in studio with us tomorrow around 10:30.
Pat Quinn was a beauty, though, wasn't he?
He certainly was. And it's interesting enough, Pat Quinn has passed away for a couple of years, so I'm kind of curious the insides of the book. I know everybody gets a chance to talk to him, but I don't know how much he got a chance to talk to him when he's writing this book, and it's a pretty significant book. So it's getting a lot of great reviews out there, and I know Pat Quinn left a mark with a lot of people in a lot of cities throughout North America, if not the world. On Thursday, Scott Morrison from Sportsnet is in studio with us. He has a brand new coffee table book that the NHL has gotten behind, celebrating 100 years, 100 moments. You kind of negotiate what your number one moment was, what your top 100
and Scotty's been around for 100 years, so he knows each and one of those things.
And I was going to say, he probably saw every single one of those. Sure, he's not as old as old Stephen Rapp, but he's up there. but nonetheless, Scott Morrison Thursday.
Yeah, old Stevie was on fire there. He was good.
Yeah, he was.
He was good.
Friday, by the way, Phil Gray from Sports Interaction. He's a senior lines manager, so we'll talk more gambling as we do it on Gambletron Fridays. So
I like that, Gambletron Friday. Pick a palooza, whatever you want. Phil's under some pressure now. He better have some material.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
because guess what? It's a short leash.
Yeah, that's right, Gray. Sasha Gray, too.
Maybe he'll bring her along, too.
Yeah. You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yeah. Here it comes.
It's time!
Such a huge thanks. Caroline Pierce. What a delight she was today. Cool story about her background and how she got into UFC in a very roundabout way as a former national athlete. There we are doing the heptathlon, and then all of a sudden, boom, bobsled.
Very cool.
From England. What a great time. I really appreciate it. Our lovely Lisa Varga getting her for us.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Remember, Thursday as well, Victor Newman. Someone said, are there no more passionate picks?
Oh, no.
Oh, there's passionate picks.
Oh, there is, yes.
And maybe we'll get the Bill Belichick comedy
corner.
Come on.
That I'd like to see.
We need that back. Yes. All right. Join us tomorrow. Just do it.